We have another special guest today. Looking forward to the off season of UConn. You're Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast platforms and on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love all of the YouTube support. It's been amazing. I'd love to have all of my subscribers download the audio version wherever you get your podcast. It's equally as important to me in helping the audience and the channel grow. Locked On is super appreciative of all that you've done to build this show. So please do me two quick favors. First, click the little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Then head over to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Hit the follow button. This way, you'll never miss a moment of Locked On UConn. I can't tell you how much your support means to me. If you're tuning in from your car, once the show is done, please drop us a 5-star review. That helps more than you know. A special shout out to my everydayers. Thanks for diving into the new UConn content and spreading the love of UConn hoops and UConn athletics. Thanks again for all of your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. On today's show, we bring in Hartford, Connecticut native who's taken Charlotte, North Carolina by storm with his cool and unapologetic comedic style. His humor, embracing everything from playful and self-deprecating to hard-hitting, is accessible to all audiences and thrives in any room. Tyrone's jokes draw from his life experiences, including growing up in a tough neighborhood, raising kids, marriage, moving to the South. His honesty on stage is refreshing and relatable, making him an unforgettable night out. Please give a warm Locked On UConn welcome to your boy here, Tyrone. Let me see if I can get Tyrone on here. Unmute him. Tyrone, welcome to the show, man. I want to start you off with a pretty simple question, right?
Yeah.
Where do you stand on this topic, which is this UConn squad coming off a national championship? Do you feel like, are you in the camp of there's a disrespect where they're not ranked like preseason number one, or are you in the camp of no, don't worry about that, or give me my flowers? Where are you at with that?
I think I'm stuck between giving UConn their flowers, like give us our flowers. And I also feel like every time we actually won a national championship, we was never like high on anybody's list in the preseason.
Yeah.
We were always the underdogs, and that's what we fought for. Like, okay, we're being underrated. Let's go show the world that we're the best in the country. So it's like a double-edged sword, man. I would love for the country to give us our flowers. And like I know, Mark, we live in North Carolina, man.
Yep.
It feels like if Duke or if the Tar Heels aren't national championship like contenders or winners, no one cares. No one's talking about it. I tell my friends all the time, UConn just went back to back, and they're like, "Really?" Like they're not even.
That's so true.
Man. It's crazy.
It's so true. I go to a barbershop down here in Greensboro, Kingdom Cuts. I gotta give my shout out to my guy Rod. He'll send me stuff. He'll be like, "Oh man, you're asleep. UConn's not winning again this year." I still haven't got my lemon pepper wings yet for winning national championship. So I need to collect on that. But I bring him UConn hats. Like everyone walks in, I'm wearing all UConn gear. I'm such a nerd. But like it's so true. Like it goes to, like, I think he went to state. Like if you're from this North Carolina area, if Carolina didn't win, if Duke didn't win, it's almost like it didn't matter. And that's where you're right. Like I'm kind of caught because there's a faction of UConn fans that are like, let them sleep. Like, who cares? We're going to end up winning anyway. But then there's also a part of me that's like, you become a blue blood by winning a bunch of titles, right? Yeah. Of which they have. And they've also done it in a respect of it's all modern championships. It's not like they got titles from 1974 when there were like 4 people playing. Right. That's my biggest issue with all this stuff. It doesn't truly matter, but it kind of matters, man. Like, you're a comedian. You're the effort that it takes to be great at your craft. If you don't get the recognition that you deserve because people disrespect you because, you're just a headliner, or man, you're an open micer, like that stuff, like that matters. That matters. Like as you ascend, it does matter. I mean, Absolutely. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. I agree 100%, man.
So talk to me about the off season. Like we just we had a friend of the program on who's going to end up sponsoring the show. Talk about Alex Caravan's return. How did you feel when you heard about that news, and what do you think that does for UConn's three-peat chances going forward?
I mean, of course, that's awesome news. To get back our star player, one of the star players. What they call him, the brain master. What do they call him?
Brain center. The brain center.
Brain center, man. I mean, I know he's pumped to be back. I know all the UConn fans, the students, the teammates, everyone's excited to have him back. We're excited to have him back. And it's almost like, we had to go back and forth what it would look like if he didn't come back, what it looks like if he does come back. And both sides of the coin, it just felt like we still had a legitimate chance. But now that we know he's coming back, it's like, dude, we have to three-peat. Like, that's all that I'm thinking about. Like, how can we not three-peat? We still got the best team in the country. We got the best power forward coming back. He can play small forward or power forward. You can put him in at the big if you want to do a really small lineup. Like, AK showed us a multitude of things that he could do on that basketball court, man. He's a great defender, great shooter. In the preseason last year, we were talking about, like, can he beat his man off the dribble? Can he do things like that? And he showed everything. So I'm just excited to have him back, man. And if we could three-peat, my comedy shows would be a lot different. I'll probably open up and say, hey, UConn just three-peated. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I'm going to do a lot of material on that for sure.
I mean, it's definitely there. I mean, I'd come to a show if your opening line was UConn three-peated. I'll be in the front row being like, "Yep, we did." I'll bring you out. I'll do that. I'll do 2 minutes. I'll come out of retirement and do 2 minutes and bring you out. If UConn three-peats, that's a bet.
Nice.
That's awesome. So talk to me about you grew up in Hartford. Yeah. Before we get into your burning questions and get to the second segment, talk to me about growing up in Hartford, like kind of some of your UConn fandom, if you will. Like how did you, obviously growing up in Connecticut, everything's UConn, but almost like it's different than professional sports where it's like, how did you learn about like the Giants or the Jets or whatever? But like, how did you be a UConn fan?
I think I was in the 5th grade, and I'll never forget, man, Ray Allen came to our school to visit us and to talk to us. And I remember looking up at Ray Allen like, this has to be the tallest human being in the world. It dawned on me that this is why guys like him play basketball. Because, when you're in school, you think you're tall. All your classmates are like, Tyrone, you're the tallest person in the class. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And then Ray Allen shows up, and it's like, this guy's a giant, man. Is he even human? So that got me, locked on UConn, to where I want to watch these guys play, man. It's a team from our state. Like I know that's all we have. We don't have a professional sports team. So UConn is like our professional sports team. So growing up in Hartford, I mean, we root for UConn like it's no one's business, man. So it was just cool to see him come there and get to hear him talk. And that's how I became a UConn fan, man. From that moment on, I've always been locked on UConn, man.
I love the promos you're giving. It's nice. We didn't even rehearse this. I love it. But we're gonna talk through. Tyrone's got some burning questions for me, including one that I think is going to be a really good topic coming up after this. Hey everyone, who's excited about the NBA Finals? Imagine being there live. It would be incredible. And thanks to the Game Time app, grabbing those last-minute tickets is even faster and easier. Just the other day, I found some amazing deals for the Finals on Game Time app. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to tip-off. Have some friends in the Boston area looking for those Celtics tickets, so ask me to check this out. With features like all-in pricing and views from your seat before you buy, Game Time takes the guesswork out of purchasing NBA tickets. They have flash deals and zone deals. You're going to save big on every purchase. Plus, their lowest price guarantee means you're always getting the best deal. So let's take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, let's bring back Tyrone Burston with comedy. I love that name, by the way. It's pretty awesome. It kind of speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
we talked about doing this show, and I said, hey, why don't you come up with some questions for me that you feel good about? And the floor is yours, man. Like, talk to me about what your thoughts are going about this team, or it could be anything UConn related. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mark, but I watch you every single day, man. And I think you took a stance on not being bothered with Samson Johnson continuing to come off the bench like he did last season. He's a spark in that aspect. He gives us energy, a different look as a big when he comes in. But I personally believe that he should just start based on his tenure with the team, being a back-to-back national champion. I think he deserves that right to start. But Terrace Reed is no slouch. And I love your take on Terrace Reed. People want to bash him and say, well, he's not that good of a big. But he was on a terrible Michigan team, man. And if you can take a talented guy like that and plug him into the UConn system where Hurley and them boys are doing over there coaching, you're going to see a way different Terrace Reed than you've seen at Michigan. But I still believe Samson Johnson deserves the nod. So my question to you is, can you just tell the folks, what's your reasoning behind wanting Samson Johnson to come off the bench? And do you think Terrace Reed is really a better five than Samson Johnson at this point?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think I'm torn, right? It's kind of like I do want to reward Samson, but I also got to think like when I make these takes, I'm saying I'm not thinking like myself. I'm thinking, what's the coaching staff going to think, right? And Dan Hurley's philosophy, I feel like, and Luke Murray and those guys, Tom Moore, Kamani Young, nothing is given, right? And I think every year it's like a clean slate, a fresh start. And yes, does Samson Johnson have a better tenure? 100%. Back-to-back national champion, a huge part of last year's team, played an incredible role. I still feel those two dunks in the national title game against Purdue like it was yesterday, right? I could literally watch those clips all day. He is an incredible rim runner. I think he's going to show a little more of an offensive game this year. But just from a pure basketball standpoint, I think Terrace is a better player. That doesn't mean that he's a better fit in the UConn offense. So, like I said, I'm torn. I could see them going either way. And I'm, for one, if I say I feel like Terrace Reed should start and then we find Samson in the starting lineup, I'm not going to be like, oh, man, I was wrong. I'm going to be like, Dan Hurley is a lot smarter than me. So he clearly saw something that I didn't, which is fine. I think if Terrace starts, it's because he is shown over the next, like during live period now and through the off season, that he's just too good to take off the floor. If he is a little behind on some of the responsibilities that a big has at UConn, the dribble handoffs, the ability to kind of the slips, the reading of, like, one of the best plays that I talked about in the Purdue game, the dish that Caravan gets from Samson for that backdoor dunk is a read that five player has to make. He gets a lob pass in the corner where he's not an offensive threat. So if Terrace doesn't grasp some of that, like, aspects of, like, you're not taking this and having an option, like, you're literally either kicking that to Cam for a three, or if it works, you're diving it to Alex for a dunk. Like, that's the where I can see Samson getting the nod, is like he's just more advanced in the system, and then Terrace kind of works his way into a larger role in the season. So it could go either way. It's a great question.
I love that. That's an awesome take. I'm with you on that. Either way, how you just broke that down, it makes perfect sense. And I really hope that Terrace Reed can come in, maybe not hit the ground running, but maybe by the start of the season, them boys put in a lot of work in the summertime, man. So I think he'll get a good grasp on what it is he's expected to do. And if we see him as the starter, we'll know why, right? And
to put a bow on it, from everything I've heard, Terrace Reed is a incredible kid, just super humble, is coming in to be coached like the partner that I have from the Feel Good Lab. If you've watched the live show yesterday, he wants to work with him. That just shows you, if you're 20 years old and you're already worried about, like, what affects your body to make you, like, just a little bit better, you're automatically kind of ahead of the game. So these kids that want to work with our partner at the Feel Good Lab, Ryan Gresh, like, if he's, like, literally the first one in the door was like, I've heard about this, I want to work with you guys. So that kid's coming here to work and get better all around. So we're in a good place with him.
I love that. And here's my second question. I think from the roster as a whole, right, I think that 3 spot is going to be a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
Like, I love Liam McNeely. I think him coming in is going to be powerful, but it's hard to believe that the guys we already had. We got what? Jalen Stewart,
Jaden Ross.
Isaiah
Yep.
Abraham. Is he coming in? He's
a
coming
freshman.
in.
Yep.
And there's another kid that got some minutes at that spot. Can you help me?
Jaden Ross and Solo is kind of he's a 2. So the 3s are more. You got Liam, Jalen. Jaden can play. That's the thing is like, remember this word, right? Positional versatility. Like the true 3s are Jalen, and they're also kind of can be 4s, like tweeners at a 4. So the wings, if you will, are Jalen, Liam, Jaden, and I guess you could put Solo in that mix because Solo is not a point guard. Aiden Mahaney can spell some folks at the point and be like that Tristan Newton bigger guard. So we're looking at those 4 as kind of like the wings. Lot of positional versatility.
Yeah. I mean, I want to feel like Hurley is just open to watching the practices, screaming at all the players, getting them to work as hard as they ever worked in their life, and then trying to pick from who does he think is going to be the best fit. I just have a hard time believing that Jaden Ross and Jalen Stewart is going to just give their spot up to this freshman coming in. I wish I could be a fly on the wall at these practices because Liam McNeely is going to have to come in there and show that he is the best 3 or 4 that UConn has on that roster. And you're talking about sophomores going up against an incoming freshman. I know we didn't play on that high level, but just being in school, you get picked on when you're the freshman, man. Like, you have to show me, bro. I'm not just going to let you score on me at will and do all this. So I'm excited to see that competition there at the 3 spot. And it just dawned on me that what if Liam McNeely doesn't start? So my question to you is there a scenario where he might not be the bona fide 3 on this team?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's pretty strong, to be honest with you, because I also feel like the term like buy-in and the culture and like all of the things that Dan Hurley talks about, all that matters. And in kind of when we talk about these roster decisions, because I guarantee you during the recruiting process, like the dirty little secret is UConn's NIL is robust. Like we don't talk about it. People don't talk about it like as like Kentucky and, you know, UCLA or some of the bigger schools, Indiana. UConn can pay whatever they want. Like, let's just be real honest. Okay. What I heard Alex Caravan coming back would shock you. Like the dude he's paid. Like guys are making their money. What they had to pay Jalen Stewart to come back. Like we're good. Like there's no shortage of that. So, but they're also, it's like, but UConn's also in a position to go, here's what we're paying you. Here's what you're worth. And if you don't like it, you can go. So that's kind of where we're at. So I feel like Liam McNeely took that package, whatever it was, to come play here. And the rest of the guys stuck around because they feel like they want to be a part of a championship culture. And all of that matters because now Dan Hurley can just coach. You don't have to worry about all the BS of like a guy coming in and be like, well, I didn't get the NIL package I wanted. It's like, yes, you did because we gave you what you wanted. So you know what I mean? So like all of that matters into like whether you start or not isn't going to matter. I think Liam McNeely, whether he starts or not, I think he plays a ton of minutes. And we've talked about this on the show a bunch. I really do feel like they'll be in positions where Liam may be playing the 4, where Alex plays the 5, and Jalen plays the 3. So they could be playing together. Like, I feel like there's going to be these lineups where it's like, we're going to blow this team out of the water. So we're going to have everyone on the floor can all shoot threes. We can all stretch out and all run, all handle the rock. So I think that's going to be a bigger thing than whether or not you start. Because let's face it, if one of the bigs gets in foul trouble and Alex Caravan has to step in and play the 5, okay, cool. I think I don't worry about that one as much. I do love the argument about Hassan and Ahmad Noel. Hassan gets the starting nod right off the. He's a super senior. Yeah. Ahmad Noel is going to be a stud, but he's a freshman. I mean, come on. I love Ahmad. He should have been a McDonald's All-American. I texted with his dad during the McDonald's All-American game, and I said, "Is Ahmad pissed about this?" And he said, "I think he's over it." He's like, "But he's ready to rock." You know what I mean? So it's all good. Like this whole this culture, I get chills thinking about it. Like this team could be better than last year's team, which was the most efficient team in the last 25 years offensively. So Just hold on. Can't wait. Like, it's going to be a good ride. I'm telling you.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I'm glad you got into that and answered it for me, because that point guard spot is pretty loaded too. It is.
Yeah,
I mean, you could plug in so many different players at that spot, man. You talk about solo ball, you know, he can easily play that spot. And I just learned the other day, what was the lockdown defender we had, the freshman that just left?
Which one?
The one that we had last year, the one that he was a lockdown defender. He just went to the draft. I can't think of his name. It's just going by me. He was a starting guard for us as a freshman last year. I can't think of his name. But
No, keep going.
Yeah, he was in the backcourt.
Are you talking about Tristan Newton?
No, the other guy, the freshman, the big guy, the strong kid that locked all the top offensive players up for our team.
Oh my God. I can't believe we're forgetting Stephon Castle.
Yeah, I just realized that Steph Castle is a true point guard. Like, I've heard in some of his workouts, he's refusing to work out for teams that already have a point guard. And I'm like, what? This kid was a point guard, man?
Let me tell you something right now. Between you and I, because I used to have Charlotte Hornets season tickets. I do not want him coming to Charlotte.
Really?
No. Please stay away. Just get drafted by anyone else, my guy. Like, I'm telling you, man. Like, please, no Hornets. The Hornets are. I love basketball. I'll watch. If people were playing basketball in my backyard right now, I'd go watch. But I can't. I would feel awful for this kid. It's not a serious franchise, man. It's just not.
Yeah.
We can go on a whole other tangent. I made a choice. Like, if you gave LaMelo Ball the Supermax, and the dude has like literally played 30 games a year for the time that he's been there, he's put up numbers, but he hasn't really shown you through a full season. And this dude is locked in for another like 3 or 4 years. And now you're going to bring in Steph Castle too? Come on, stop.
Man.
So no Hornets. Everyone else, please draft Steph Castle.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Mark put it out there. Hornets, stay away from our beloved Mr. Castle. Yeah, man, please. All
right, I'm waiting for that question that you had, because
this is it. It's coming up right here, man. Of course, I represent Hartford, Connecticut, born and raised. I spent 24 years in Hartford, and everyone knows one of the biggest star basketball players we had in Hartford was Marcus Camby, Mr. Camby Land himself. He won 2 back-to-back national championships with Hartford Public High School, which was a huge reason why I went there. I wanted to be like Marcus Camby. I wanted to wear his jersey number. I just wanted to keep that tradition going. Long story short, I went to Hartford Public High School. It took me 5 years to get out of high school, which is why I do stand-up comedy today. But we didn't win no more national championships, but it was a fun ride to at least try it, man. So my question was, when Marcus Camby was at UMass, I mean, UMass was almost unheard of before that point. They never had any outstanding teams, and Marcus chose to go there. But I wanted to know if he had chose to go to UConn that year with the team we had. Now, my knowledge of UConn's roster doesn't go back that far, but I wanted to ask you, Mark, what would UConn have looked like? How far would they have win in the tournament? What would that team have looked like if Marcus Camby was a starting 5 on that UConn team?
Well, I will not put too fine a point on it. They go undefeated and they win the national championship.
Like that, man. And I kind of believe that. I mean, I go back and watch Marcus Camby versus Tim Duncan. If you haven't seen that, you gotta watch that game. I didn't think Tim Duncan could get handled like that, man. But Marcus was amazing.
Marcus Camby, that was a year. Those were good UMass teams. Very good to great. UMass actually made the Final Four before UConn did, which is knowing UConn's history, to say that UMass made a Final Four before UConn did is just, it's insane, because UMass is kind of in the dumps right now. But they did have Calipari, and Calipari was using NIL money before NIL money was a thing back in the day. if you feel me. So what I'm saying is, but when you look at this team, think about this. So UConn's roster, just adding Marcus Camby, they had Ray Allen, they had Deron Sheffer, they had Kurt King, who was a freshman, They had Travis Knight, who played in the league, got drafted by the Knicks and the Celtics.
Remember Travis?
They had a young Ricky Moore as a freshman, Roshmel Jones as a freshman, who both of them won national championships as seniors. That team, if you add a Marcus Camby, then you have basically 2 7-footers. Travis Knight doesn't start. He comes off the bench, and he was an NBA player. Yeah. So then you have the greatest player in UConn history, and you also probably would have the second best player in UConn history if Camby came and played. They might have won 2 guys. Like, let's be honest. Like, if you think about Camby coming in and being that good a player, because if you just look at Camby's stats from just the 95-96 year, he was 21 points per game, 11 rebounds. He averaged 4 blocks.
Man.
So that dude was incredible. I mean, that they made the Final Four, lost to Kentucky in that year. UConn got upset by Mississippi State and Dante Jones in the Sweet 16 that year. So if you give me a Marcus Camby, that UConn was a 1 seed, and you're trying to tell me you give me Camby, I mean, that team is a national title. Yeah. I mean, easy. They were 30-2 going into the NCAA tournament
without Marcus Camby. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah. Who was on that Kentucky team? That Kentucky team was loaded too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be Ron Mercer, Tony Delk. I mean, that would have been okay. That's another topic. If you put UConn with Marcus Camby against that Kentucky team, how good a game is that? That may be the national championship game. That's like a heavyweight fight. So that would be, but I still think UConn, because of the way the game was played, like having these guys who are shot blockers down there and having an athletic guy like Camby, because Travis Knight was an NBA player, but he wasn't going to win any athletic awards. He just was a tall dude, good, pretty decent shooter. Yeah. Good footwork for his skill set. Mm-hmm. Definitely a 90s NBA big, right? But Camby was like a transcendent NBA big. You know what I mean? Could do a bunch of different things. Would be very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, we're going to get to the last segment and talk about a few different things. We play a game called Who Do You Want? And we're going to play it with Tyrone coming up after this. All right, we're back on Locked On UConn. First, I want to tell the audience, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on the Amazon Fire TV free TV channels app, 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. All right, before we get into Who Do You Want, let's talk to you, Tyrone. Where can people find you? I mean, obviously, we have your Twitter or X handle there, but if there's other places, Instagram, Facebook, website, whatever you want to do, promote your comedy, and then I'm going to ask you some fun questions.
Oh yeah, please do. If you are locked on UConn the way I am, if you want to give me a follow, you want to support live comedy, please follow me on all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, TikTok is going to be Burston with comedy, right? Just like you see it there, spelled just like that. Now, you guys probably know, like I know, in order to really make it in stand-up comedy, you got to have like 1 million followers to make it. And I'm almost there. I got like 19, right? But if everybody gave me a follow who watched this, I'd probably would make it. I'm trying to make it. So definitely give me a follow if you're looking for some laughs. And thank you, Mark, for letting me plug that in here, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, man. A big fan of live comedy. A little harder to get out in the evening with the young kids, as you know. It's it's hard to manage all that. But I definitely, living close to you, I definitely want to check out a show at some time in the future. And I'm telling you, if they win a three-peat, I'm doing 2 minutes and bringing you up, and it may be the worst 2 minutes you've ever heard, but we'll film it as part of a bit. Dude hasn't been on a stage in I don't know 6-7 years, but let's try it. Why not? Let's have some fun.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll be bigger by then, so people will know. They'll be like, oh, it's this guy's coming up. He's not that good, but we'll have some fun with it. So I've been doing this bit, so to speak, or kind of a segment. Who do you want? And I have different scenarios. You have to pick a person that's of UConn. I was about to say descent, but just essentially like anyone that's played or coached at UConn all the way back to Jim Calhoun era to now. And it's different scenarios. I played, I don't know if you knew this, but I was a professional tennis player. So now people ask me to play pickleball, which is like the rage, right? Everyone plays pickleball. I don't know why, but I still play it every once in a while. It's fun. I feel a little corny doing it, but either way, it's still a pretty decent exercise. If you can only pick one player in UConn history, who's your pickleball partner?
You know who I'm going to go with? Khalid Al-Amin.
I love it.
And I'm going to tell you why, because from his physique, no one's going to think that he's going to be good at pickleball. But I promise you, he's going to be a lot quicker than everybody else that's playing pickleball, man. So give me Khalid
Have you seen a lot of pickleball players? Have you seen a lot of pickleball players?
No, I haven't. I'm ashamed to say this, but I played it one time with my mother-in-law, and she kicked my tail so bad. Dude, she was spotting me points, like giving me 5 points to start out with, and was still beating me all over the place, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's let me tell you, pickleball is very deceiving. You see a guy on the court and you're like, this dude. And then you're like, oh, okay. All right. I was not what's the meme? I was unfamiliar with your game. That happens a lot in pickleball.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So this is a good one too. I just bought a Kia Carnival minivan for my family.
Nice.
Now we're traveling to New York in a couple weeks. If you had to travel cross country and you could fit, I think I've been saying 4 guys because the minivan is big, but we're talking basketball players. Yeah. So about half of what a normal person would be. So 4 guys, you're driving, you got someone shotgun, you got 3 people in the back in a minivan cross country. Who are your 4 guys from UConn? Coaches or players?
All right, coaches or players. I'm going to go with Connecticut favorite. A lot of people might not remember, but we were proud of the East Hartford standout high school basketball player, Doug Wiggins.
Dougie Wiggins.
Yeah, I got to put Dougie in there, man, just because, he represent, he's from around the way. Got to put Doug in there. I'll also probably throw Rudy Gay in there because he's probably going to be chill. And if it gets too rowdy in the minivan, I know Rudy's going to be like, hey, you guys need to chill out, man. He got that real chill personality to me. So let me get Doug. Let me get Rudy. Let me see. Who else?
2 more.
2 more. You know what? I want to put my twin brother on there, Charlie Villanueva.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, I think we could be back there cracking jokes because we're going to get a lot of the butt of the jokes. But me and Charlie, we got to stick together, man. 2 light-skinned bald-head brothers. We gotta make something shake with the funnies in there. So give me Doug, Charlie, Rudy, and I'm gonna get my pickleball player. Can I get him, or do I have to get
of course.
Yeah, let me get Khalid, man. We love Khalid. He used to come around in Hartford and go to the barbershops to get his hair cut, man. He's a true celebrity in my hometown. So that's who I'm gonna go with. 2 guards, Charlie and Rudy, man.
I love Khalid Al-Amin. That's my people ask me who your favorite player like of all time is. I have 2. One when I was a kid, they had this guy, Nadav Hennefeld, who was they called him the Israeli Larry Bird. He played 1 season. He still owns the steals record for a freshman in the NCAA tournament, or the NCAA like as a freshman from UConn. He averaged like 4 steals a game. He was incredible. He was 21, came in, played 1 year, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna go play in Israel. Dude was amazing. And then Khalid, when I was a senior in high school, that dude was just legit. Also, I'm built like Khalid. I'm short and stocky, so that's my guy. So I have 2 more questions. Let's relate it to your field. Who do you think would be the best comedian in UConn history?
Oh man,
based off their game, maybe they're maybe someone's more of a one-on-one player, so they would be better at crowd work, or maybe you feel like a point guard, or I don't know. However you feel, I'm curious what your thoughts would be on that.
Whew.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah. I don't want to take too long. I'm gonna
take your time. It's all good.
I think what comes to the top of my mind, I think Shabazz Napier. I like Shabazz. I like how he came up with Kimba, under Kimba. He watched Kimba. And that's what it takes to be a good comedian, man. You got to be a student of the game. You got to be able to see somebody do it at a high level in front of you and then say, you know what, I think I could do that. And his personality on the court, he was very vocal, loud spoken. I mean, his game spoke for itself, but Shabazz wasn't opposed to telling people like, yo, I just cooked you, man. You know, like he was one of them cats. So I think I'll give the nod to Shabazz. I think Shabazz could do pretty well at stand-up comedy, man.
Yeah, I like that. I think since I just thought about this question as we have you on, I think my biggest one would be God. We've said his name 100 times. I think Khalid El-Amin would be a really good comedian, and I'm not. And I say this. I say this because do you remember the Pittsburgh game where they were calling him fat and like he hit like a 3. Then they stole the ball. He came down and hit a shot, like not at the buzzer, but like 0.2 seconds left. Mm-hmm. Then he jumped on the concourse and was like talking all kinds of shit, like, yeah, what's up? Like, what's up now? I'm fat now, huh? Like, I just feel like that personality would be like, handle any crowd, right? You know, you've worked at the Apollo. Like if someone, you know, shouts something out in your set, you can address it or you can press on, like whatever it is. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of guys who can deal with that on a basketball court, but to translate to comedy, I think that kind of quick on your feet, I feel like he'd be that guy.
Yeah, you got it, man. You nailed it, man. And shout out to Khalid El-Amin, man. You nailed it on the Who Would I Want part of the segment, man. We got you in about three out of 4.
Yeah. Man, so, I think we want him on a lot of things. Last one. This is a good one. Okay. Because look, you had a comedy situation a couple years back where Chris Rock got smacked by Will Smith. All right. So we're putting it to your expertise. You're on stage. You can have one security guard that's a UConn player or coach. Who is the guy that's not allowing Will Smith to smack Tyrone Burston at the Oscars?
Emeka Okafor.
Okay.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, here's a guy, I can't remember the game or what year it was, but I believe he saved us in the tournament by getting a game-winning shot block. He blocked a shot at the end of a game one time, and I was like, this has to be the toughest guy of all time when it comes to UConn basketball. I believe if I got Emeka up there, no one's coming up to that stage. As soon as Will would have stood up, Emeka would have been there to block his shot back in the seat, man. So
I like it. That's a great one, man. Well, I really appreciate you having you on and talking through some stuff with me. Tell people where they can see your next show, because obviously we get a lot of folks that are in Connecticut, all over I looked at the numbers. A lot of people all over the country, all over the world listen to the show. So where are you next? I know you were just at Good Nights in Raleigh. Where can people find you?
I'm going to be, let me see if I got to grab my calendar. I'm a professional comedian, man. So I'll be everywhere, which is good. Yep. So, but I got some good shows coming up. And you know what's great about UConn, man? We're everywhere. You know, we're in North Carolina. We're in Virginia. I mean, we're all over this country, man. So that's pretty good. But I'm excited about some shows I have coming up in Virginia. June is going to be a lot of Charlotte stuff. So if you just follow me on my social media platforms, you'll be able to see some of those shows. But I'll be in Williamsburg, Virginia, July 12th. So definitely, if you're in the Virginia area, come check me out there. Fayetteville, North Carolina. So I'll be closer to you, Mark, up in that way. Mm-hmm. So I'll be in Fayetteville at the end of this month, June 29th. And I'm also, producing my own showcases here in Charlotte. But yeah, make sure you tap in with me, guys, and support live comedy, man. If you have a show you want to see or you would like to have me in your town, just message me and I'll see if I can put a show together for you guys.
I love it. Well, this has been another episode of Locked On UConn. For Tyrone Burston with Comedy, I'm your host, Mark Zanetto, asking you to stay locked in, stay connected, make sure your toughness meter is always rising. And as always, go Huskies. Hold on one second.